My name is James Marshall. I paint under the name DALEK. We're here in my studio in Raleigh, North Carolina. I started drawing probably pretty young age, mostly from cartoons, comics. I think that's probably, what I grew up on, watching Bugs Bunny, that kind of stuff, and reading old Avengers and X-Men comics. And so I was always drawn to it. So I would doodle a lot of that kind of stuff and sketch it out, and I drew all the time. It wasn't until 1995 where the Space Monkey was born. I worked in the skate industry out in California at that point, and I became friends with Shepard Fairey, and Shepard was the first person to teach me Illustrator. He helped me make my first screen prints, my first stickers. This is back in '96. That was one thing about graffiti I wanted to bring into the paintings originally, was that idea of those layered pieces, the aged, and so I'd paint something, I'd sand it down, I'd layer over it and sand it down, and then I'd end up painting a finished piece over it. And one thing I was keenly aware of, even for me, right, in the early 80s when MTV first came along, and cable and Atari, and technology provides advantages and it can elevate people on some levels, but it dumbs down a lot of things, and it takes uniqueness away from a lot of things, and society becomes more homogenized. And so you lose a lot of that energy that was present in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Space Monkey was always built to be this mirror of the human experience, right? So Space Monkey coming from literally teaching, monkeys to push buttons and go into space. It was about kind of this battle of technology and what role it was going to play in our lives. And so Space Monkey is this kind of hollowed out creature, kind of empty, devoid, and fills himself with what it's around, right? I wanted it to be about the human experience because it's the one thing we all share in common. And, commonalities are more important than what makes us different. And I wanted people to be able to find themselves in it and relate to it and connect with it. The cartoon vehicle, because, again, there's a long history of cartooning and, kind of social dynamics and, using cartoon violence as a veil for, social matters. And I think it's an interesting dynamic when you can take something that's poppy, colorful, and light and mix it with things that are heavy. But I think it's important, again, to have the connective tissue to allow people to get into it. And I think, again, that's where painting, prints, toys, stickers, you create art that's accessible to people and speaks to people, and then you can connect and create genuine relationships and experiences with people. I think that's far more valuable, and it's really what art should be about.